It's cool. And then this whole PAC Man, waka 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 waka. Waka 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 waka. Yeah, PAC Man. Hello and welcome. My name is Kathy A, and today I thought I'd do a special tribute to the brand Wet n Wild. Now, a few years ago, I did a docu-torial all about this brand, and I will put it up here if I've still got it. At the time, Fergie was the spokeswoman for the brand. She was just brought on. She was from Black-Eyed Peas, and she had a solo career, quite successful at the time. So they brought out a whole line of Wet n Wild products that went with Fergie, and it worked really nicely, and that's when I did this particular special. In fact, I think I even sing one of her songs about lady humps or something like that. Worth a look, worth a look.
My lovely lady humps. Unfortunately, my lovely lady humps are reserved for the back hump that I'm growing and my love handles, I think. Hello and welcome. My name is Kathy A, and today is a really fun tutorial for me to do. I'm actually doing all Wet n Wild products, right from the primer to the false lashes, and I actually still have them on. There's still a little bit. Now my timer kept turning itself off, so I lost the beginning footage. So I think what I'm just going to do is really quickly read you a little bit about Wet n Wild so you can learn a little bit about the company. In 1979, Stanley Acker started a 99-cent cosmetic company called Pavillon Limited in his home, right actually in his garage. He marketed the products under the brand name Wet n Wild and sold to drugstores and Woolworths. You remember Woolworths, don't you? They had the little mini restaurant. They called it a soda fountain. In the center, you could get a hot fudge sundae or a cheeseburger, and then you could go buy your mom some cheap perfume for Christmas. It's kind of crossed between a dollar store and Walmart, something in between there. Anyway, he marketed and sold to drugstores and Woolworths, we call them five and dimes, building up by 1984 to 600 employees, and he had several facilities making 250,000 lipsticks every day. He sold the line to AM Cosmetics in 1997, and so they manufactured Wet n Wild cosmetics from 1997 until 2003. Now, a company called Markwins International bought AM Cosmetics, so they also bought the rights to Black Radiance. So Wet n Wild, Black Radiance, and Tropez cosmetics were now being manufactured at Markwins. And Eric Chen, he's from Fresno, California, he's the CEO of Markwins Beauty Products, which is the actual branch of the company that is in City of Industry, California. And they have about 350 employees, and they are the ones who are making our Wet n Wild cosmetics. Now in 2012, they bought Physicians Formula. So now Wet n Wild owns Physician Formula. So I think there's going to be some interesting changes going on with that particular brand. But I want to tell you a couple of fun facts about Wet n Wild. One of them is that they are, and very importantly, they are totally cruelty-free, and I really admire that about them. They don't buy any of their ingredients or anything from third world countries that test on animals, and by doing so, they probably have to pay a little bit more for their ingredients to create their cosmetics, but they are totally cruelty-free. They don't test on animals, and they don't buy products from people who do. So I just think that that's a really admirable thing for Wet n Wild. And when I did my mascara haul, I actually was looking for cruelty-free. They had like maybe 10 different mascaras for me to try, so that was a lot of fun. And they have a very popular Facebook page, so you may want to visit the Wet n Wild Facebook page. Every year the company discontinues their less popular shades in the line, so if you have a favorite, once they discontinue it, they will not do it anymore. And now with limited edition runs, when they do a limited edition, it is only a one production run. So they distribute all around. Some places get them, some places don't. But when you see a limited edition and it looks even remotely interesting, just pick it up. And if it looks like something you're really going to like, pick 2 of them up because they won't ever have it again. You can't get it again. And all of their 8-packs, which are, their 8 pans, they call them, these colors are not named and they're not sold individually. So when you see individual colors from Wet n Wild, they're unique as well. So just a little bit of that on there. Right now, you can't buy Wet n Wild cosmetics from the actual company straight online. You can buy them from like drugstore.com, and they're working on having an international deal so that you can get them in the UK. But right now they're sold in 47,000 stores, and they're sold in about 60 countries. So pretty soon they should be able to be purchased in the UK and Europe, and I know a lot of people are interested in that. So that's all for my part of the report, and I'm going to take you to my morning tutorial, starting off with my after self, talking about Fergie. In 2012, they also hired Fergie to be a spokesperson for them. Now, Fergie is very well known in the music industry as being, she was in the band Black Eyed Peas. She was a really, really beautiful lady, and then she went off and she did a solo career. And she is a huge fan of Wet n Wild cosmetics. She said she used them as a teenager because where she grew up was a very, very low-income kind of area. So Wet n Wild cosmetics were kind of all they could afford, because they were very low price points on there. And so she is very honored to be their spokesperson. And she's doing a great job, I think. She loves the idea that she's supporting a brand that her fans can afford to buy. So, anyway, all right. You got the mic on again here. So I'm going to take you through the magic of video, and we are going to go back in time, and I'm going to center and be with myself.
Anyway, I haven't really revisited this brand since then, and in the YouTube world we have so many makeup brands and so many new products coming out every few months. There's something new coming out all the time. So I've kind of forgotten about some of these products, and I'm so pleased with what I have discovered from this. This is a fabulous line. It really is, and they've got probably the most complete amount of products of any line in the drugstore. I can only think maybe NYX would rival them, NYX, NYX. So I'm going to do a complete demo starting from straight out of the shower with a moisturized face, and we will just start from beginning to end, and I'll show you how I got to this look. And below in my description box I will list all of the products that I've used today. And if I don't like a product, you're going to see not a link to it, but just NR. And NR means not recommended. So I'd rather tell you right off the bat the ones that I'm not that crazy about and not recommend to you, because I'm very, very open-minded here and flexible. I will try every possible way to make something work. And when it doesn't, and it doesn't look good on me, I want to be very honest with you about that. None of this stuff was sent to me. I purchased all this stuff with my own cash money. Some of it's going to be returned, actually. And I think it'll be interesting for you because you may be curious about some of these products. Maybe you haven't even tried Wet n Wild products before because it's cheap drugstore stuff. Why would you want to try it? Well, I'll tell you, some of this stuff rivals high-end luxury products, and I'm not too proud to where, because I tell you, when you're putting your makeup on in the morning, if your lipstick looks nice and your eyeshadow looks nice, who cares what brand it is? It doesn't matter. So all of you status seekers out there who feel that you have to have those Nordstrom, Macy's slash, you know, really high-end products, they're not always so necessary. So anyway, I'm going to shut up now and get right to the demonstration, and I'll be back with you in my final thoughts. Yes, it's me. Alrighty then, let's begin. Before I started this, I actually used the PAC MAN Fruit Lip Scrub, and that's the apple flavor. Really, really nice texture, works on my lips really well. Going into primers, this is the Water Drop Primer series they have. They have a couple of flavors, and this is the Rose shade. Has a beautiful natural rose scent to it, and it's very hydrating. I really like this particular primer. I'm almost out of mine. I'm just yakking away there, but anyway, I'm overdubbing because it would take another 2 hours. This is Take on the Day Eye Primer, which is absolutely one of my favorite drugstore eye primers. Once you try it, you'll see what I mean. I think it's better than Milani. I think it's better than a lot of high-end primers that you can find. A little overkill there on the blending. And here is the concealer stick, and it's very creamy. It does blend out nicely. I used it under my eyes, which is a mistake. It didn't work very well under textured eyes. With wrinkles or lines, it sinks into them very badly, but it's very good for blemish control. Now, this is the first of several of those white handled cheapy brushes that they have. This is I think they have their brushes made in 3 different places because these are very cheap. They are synthetic bristles, but I don't really like them too much. That one's not bad. It's the concealer brush, but it really is cheap. Now, I like better this other concealer from them. This is the Photo Focus Concealer, and the shade I have is the lightest shade called Fair Beige. But Fair Beige, unfortunately, the next shade up would be more to my skin tone, but the next shade up is too dark. It's like 3 shades darker than this, and you really can't. It's too dark. So this one's too light, and the next one up is too dark. So you'd actually have to mix them together, and I'm explaining that now, but I'm just yakking over my yakking. Now, this is the Stick Foundation. This is fairly new for them, and I have the shade Classic Ivory. I think finding the right shade is important in these kinds of things. Now, I didn't mind it at all. I thought it blended out nicely with my fingers to warm up the product a little bit so it could melt into my skin a little nicer. I know I normally use a damp beauty sponge, but I did not for this. For the other side, I'm using the Photo Focus Foundation in the shade Buff Bisque. Now, I had a slightly darker shade than my skin tone because I was using Self Tanner, and it was a little bit darker, but I mean, it gives me a little bit of a fresh glow. You just have to remember to go all the way down your neck when you use a foundation that's a little darker than your skin. And you know, it's okay. Out of the two, I like this side better. The foundation, liquid foundation, is actually quite good for a drugstore foundation, so I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. Even with dry skin, it looks pretty good. Now, the powder's another story. The banana powder, which I'm holding out to you now, is a mustard color banana. It's not a flattering shade on very light skin. And on the other side, I'm using the pressed powder, but it's so hard to get out of the pan, I actually had to score it with a popsicle stick to break up some of the powder. I love these brushes with the PAC MAN series. They have the glitter in them, but they're very soft. They hold their shape when you wash them, and they don't shed. They are actually excellent brushes. So if you see them, and there's only 2 styles, there's the eye and the face. I'm going to use it again with the contour. Actually, no, I'm going to use something else with the contour. And I'm using the setting powder here in the thing. I think they mean it to be a highlight powder, but it's not shimmery at all.
So this is, yeah, I'm using one of the cheapy brushes for the contour, and I did not like it at all. Boy, you can use a good product with a bad brush and it can really mess things up. I didn't like this brush at all. Of course, I have a lot of scarring on that side and it didn't help me at all.
Moving on to bronzer, and this is...
Oh wait, before we move on to bronzer, we have to remind folks that the magic of this program is subscribers. That's how people are judged. It depends on how much you love the show. Please hit subscribe. Please check off that you liked the video. And Subscription Man out.
Thanks, Subscription Guy. He's always a big help, but it is a nice reminder. It helps me out a lot if you do subscribe to the channel. And it's very easy, doesn't cost anything, and it'll let you know the next time I have a video release. You hit the bell too, so I appreciate it if you do. And if you've been subscribed to me, thank you so much for your loyalty over the years. Now this is new. This is called Sunset Striptease from Wet n Wild.
Okay, back again with the grainy sounding voiceover. This is the Striptease bronzer. This is the lightest shade in their bronzers, and I really like it. It's very light, it's very subtle. It just gives you a little bit of warmth to your face. Going into this really cute blush palette from the PAC Man release, which has just been released within the last month. Putting these two shades together, you get pearlescent pink shade, which is a lot like NARS Orgasm, and I think that's a wonderful blush shade. If you mix different shade combinations in this 4-pack, you will get a slightly different look to your blush, and I think it's a really diverse in how you can do it. I would say if you are medium to light skin tone, this will work for you. If you have darker skin to really dark skin, I don't think this is going to work for you, aside from being possibly a highlight on one of those shades. Speaking of highlight, the two powder highlights that I like the best are Precious Petals, which is the yellowish color, and the Blossom Glow, which is the pinkish color. And since I'm warm toned, I'm just demonstrating with the Precious Petals one, putting it over my nose, over my mouth, Cupid's bow. And this is the liquid version, and I think it's very much like the Precious Petals color in a liquid form, because the two sides look identical. When I finish, you'll see. I prefer the powder over the liquid. The liquid is more controllable, however, it will spoil faster. Now, the brow pencil was a true disappointment. It's called Blonde Moments, the shade I have, really cute. I'm using their sharpener to sharpen the pencil, and I think it does a really good job. This pencil did not work well. It looked very patchy on. You could see little grains of color pigment in it, and it just didn't, even though the color wasn't bad, the actual formulation wasn't very good. But they have two other formats of brow products, and I would recommend those over this one. So I'm not doing very much with my brows at all, and I'm really not pleased with that outcome in that product. Okay, the first of the Color Icon palettes. This is an old favorite, Comfort Zone. They had repackaged, and actually they reformulated this. I'm not as pleased with the new formulation of Comfort Zone, but they're still a better quality than most other eyeshadows in the drugstore. Very, very nice. This one I was disappointed in. That was the V.I.P purple palette. Very low pigmentation. It was very hard to get color payout from that particular palette. I don't know if it was made somewhere else or just those shades were bad. My favorite in the line of the Color Icon palettes is Nude Awakening. And this one here has a lot of the basics you need for your base eye. This color, this light color, is similar to the Brulee single color. And speaking of, there was a rumor going around that Brulee was being discontinued, and I can't imagine it would be, because it's probably one of their most popular items. Moonchild was the blue I just held up, and then this one gray. It's a gray base with glitter in it, and it's a cream base. I was surprised at that. I didn't like it at all. When I put it on my eye, it looked very pretty. then when I blended it out, it turned into just glitter. You couldn't see the base of the darkness at all. Now this shadow palette I avoided buying because it was just such bright colors, and I thought, where am I ever going to use this? But I actually really enjoyed using it. Now it has little imprints in the center and the corner shadows of PAC Man creatures, which makes it really cute. Each of the colors is very wearable, and I'm going to swatch them awkwardly for you here. They actually are slightly duller in appearance on your skin than they appear in the pans. The pans make them look, you know, almost neon color, but they are not. They're very wearable, and there's a nice pop of color in some of those brighter colors, and I will show you that a little bit later. That color white I did not like at all. That is just basically shimmer. It was just a housing for shimmer. It went all over my face. Yep. Well, I don't like where I swatched, so I think I'm going to turn my hand around. I can't bend my hand there, so I'm going to swatch it again over that part of my hand so you can see it better. There we go. Yeah, see how it's slightly different when you put it on your skin. It's just a little bit duller, but I like that. I think it's very nice. Even the yellow is a wearable shade. Now I love the blue. When you build it up, it looks really nice, like a nice royal blue. And the orange too. Very, very wearable and pretty. And even the turquoise, which you may think is crazy of me, but just a little center bar touch of that made my eyes really pop. When you wear an outfit that it'll go with, it's even better. So all of the colors were fabulous. Now I'm going to start off my actual eye look by using the Brulee single. Now these singles can range in price from 99 cents to $1.89 in your shop depending on where you are located. And I noticed Wet n Wild products are priced slightly differently depending on the location of the store. Now this is the Nude Awakening palette, and I'm going in with one of those crappy white-handled cheapy brushes, and again, I don't recommend any of those. Not a single one of those worked for me. And I tried all of the line, so I gave them all a chance, because sometimes you get lucky with one of them. But I'm actually using my finger to blend rather than that awful brush. So going into the medium dark shade for the corner, and I'm just making a matte base eye first before I add any color to it. And this is speeded up, so I'm not actually going quite that fast. And I'm just kind of cleaning up with the smaller PAC Man brush. I just love those brushes. The face brush and the eye brush are both excellent. I would not hesitate to recommend either of those. Now look what I'm doing with that tan shade, going right over the top of the crease color. I think it really makes a warmth to the look. Now there I am going in with that yellow, and you see it's really much more subtle on the eyelid than it appears in the pan. Yep. Now what am I going to do? Oh, there's that blue turquoise there, right in the center. And see, it's not over the top, not over the top. And this is a rainbow eye look I did earlier. Okay, this is a liquid catsuit shimmer eyeshadow, and I thought initially it was going to be really great for lining under the eyes. It's a little awkward. I would personally use a separate smaller brush and tap into the applicator there. I'm just putting a little dot here and there. It is very glittery, and you can see it did spill over a bit, so I'm going to have to clean that up a little later with a Q-tip. Going into the Nude Awakening palette, there is a nice shimmer coppery taupey color that I just put over the top of that, just so there'd be some color there. And I'm going in with a really dark brown on the edge to just kind of add to that look. Now this is the Kohl crayon, and they're famous. You really have to heat them up with your hair dryer to loosen them up because they're very hard. And what's nice is that they're hard so they last, but they're hard and they pull on your eyes. So a lot of people don't like that about them. Nails. Gonna show you the nail polish set. I hesitated to buy it because I'm not a fan of Wet n Wild nail polish formula, There's the blue and the yellow, which are both shimmery. The blue has some micro glitter in it. The 3 center shades are just regular cream nail polishes. I especially love the orange and the yellow. That's what they all look like on. And I think the pink and the red are good on the toes. You do need to put a top coat, and they do have their own. You can get it at Dollar Tree. Now I'm curling my lashes, and actually I'm holding that for about 8 to 10 seconds. This is the Wet n Wild Max Volume Mascara, and this is actually the waterproof version, because what I am, believe it or not, what I am dressing up for here is a funeral. I am going to a funeral, and this mascara held up through streaming tears. I mean, this was a real tragic, horrible death. The woman was in the medical field and had done great things with government policy and everything to help people. She was an amazing person. Her family was up there talking and crying, and I was right along with them. I mean, it was just a horrible, horrible funeral. But what a great test for the mascara. I mean, it did not budge. But unfortunately, it also doesn't budge when you're trying to clean it off. So you do need to use extra cleanser to take it off. And it makes a nice big honkin' lash. So if you're going to be going to something where you're going to be emotional, I'd highly recommend it. The Wet n Wild Perfect Pout Lip Liner, these are a little bit creamy, I think. And when they're really creamy like that, they act almost like a lipstick. And I think they're really nice for filling in the lips. But they don't really hold the lipstick from merging into the little lines around your mouth. This is the Catsuit Liquid Lip Stick in the shade Send Nudes, which is a perfect wearable daytime work to work without worry kind of shade. It lasts really well. I find that liquid lipsticks can tend to dry my lips out, so I'm not as big a fan of those. Now, I do like their regular lipsticks, but I hate the packaging. I really do, especially the dipped packaging that you have to get in the right angle when you're closing the top on. Now, all of these shades are listed on the left there in the order I'm doing them. And the matte shades are a little bit drying, but they do last. Those formulations last really well. I mean, if you're in a pinch, just jump into the drugstore and get your Wet n Wild lipstick, and you're covered. So I think I'm going to use the Sunset Peach shade. I just kind of taken off some of that liquid lip, which is hard to do. And I'm putting Sunset Peach on, which I think is a very pretty all-over shade, very dressy shade. A little bit of shimmer to it, or frost, as some people used to call it. And I'm just going to demonstrate the lip gloss. This particular shade doesn't need it. The nude would have, but I put it on this for some reason. This is the shade Cherish. Very, very sweet. I really do like their lip glosses. Not bad at all. Okay, that's the look. Now I'm going to keep going. This is the spray, the Photo Focus Setting Spray. This is the natural finish one, and when you spray it, it's kind of like a fire hose. It's very strong. There is a light scent to it. It's not bad. It does hold your makeup. Now, I tried a different pair for my other video, but this is the Shuttershock eyelashes, and it comes with a little glue. The glue itself ran out so quickly, it was almost like water, and I thought maybe it's gone bad, but I guess that's the formulation. It just drips everywhere. And I found that when I got close up to the camera before, the lashes just do not stay down on the ends. There I am struggling with them. The lashes themselves aren't bad, but the glue I'm not sure I would recommend, because it just, you know, that inside always pops up on me when the glue is not good. Here I am, preening. And I'm just going to take down my hair and be right with you.
The series. I think that was a high quality release as opposed to some of the earlier releases that I didn't care for. I think the PAC MAN release, I like the eyeshadow palette a lot more than I thought I would. I do like the nail polishes a lot, but you do need a top coat with them. And I am enjoying especially the golden yellow color. Now they don't have names or numbers on them, they just are blue, red, pink, yellow, orange. There's no difference. And in the back when they talk about the ingredients, they just say red, blue, pink, yellow, orange. This is fabulous. If you can, pick this up because it's got a lot going for it. I think the only disappointing color for me in this whole little thing was this whitish micro glitter shade, which, you know, if I take a little like here and put it right here, initially it looks really nice, and then there's micro glitter everywhere, all over my face. So this shade can work really well, even in a neutral look, to kind of accentuate and blend in your neutral look. These oranges are nice. Yeah, this is a great palette. As far as these kind of palettes go, I think the Comfort Zone is a slightly different formula than what we remember from the old days when there were square palettes and there was one more shade than this. These were a disappointing formulation, especially the V.I.P purple. But I will say that these other ones aren't bad. Nude Awakening and Comfort Zone have some good colors in there. These are great. As far as singles go, I do love Moonchild and Brulee, and hopefully they're not discontinuing Brulee. I still see a place for it in the displays for Wet n Wild in the drugstore, so I'm hoping that was just a rumor. Disappointed am I in the cream formulation singles like this one, and this is called Karma. So it wasn't really great Karma. It looks like it has a lot of potential, a little micro glitter in there, but it's really not. The gel base that holds the micro glitter looks like it's a gray color, but when it goes on your eye, it disappears. So this was a fail. As far as the highlighters go, I do like these two much better than using the liquid, but the liquid's quite nice. It just won't last as long as the powder version. The blush set is really nice. I think when you combine especially these two together, you get a version of like NARS Orgasm shade. Very, very pretty, pretty shade. Very usable. And if you mix this with this, you get more neutral shade. If you mix this one with this one, you can get more of a warmer tone. I mean, it's just a nice little combination for warmer tone, medium skin tone, and lighter. I'm not sure how much darker skin tone would be able to carry off these shades. Contour, of course, the Dulce de Leche, the caramel color, very, very nice. I don't use this, although I think you can use it as an under eye setting powder. It is so finely milled, you can use it in your eye area, so you can find a use for it. It doesn't really have a color per se. Of course, now that I've said that, it has a color per se. It does have a color. Okay, there's another use for it. Because I never use this usually, so it is pretty on the inner corner. Oh, all right, and how does this look? Another crease color. Well, okay. See, we're just discovering all the time here. So this is a wonderful contour, underrated, not talked about very much. The bronzer is excellent, and this is the Sunset Striptease shade of the bronzer. It's a very nice, this is for lighter skin tones, just give you a little bit of a warm glow. It's not over the top and it's not orange. It's got more of a neutral grayish brown tone to it. So this is very nice. It has a nice imprint too of a palm leaf, a palm tree. As far as the powders go, the translucent powder is nice. This is the banana powder, which is just too much of a mustard yellow color for people who have medium to light skin. Especially if you're a cool tone undertone, you're not going to like this at all. But if you are a medium tone to dark tone person with olive undertones, you're going to love this because that looks like it would work really well with medium to medium dark skin tones. The actual natural buff powder, this is one, they have several different shades, and this is the natural buff. I'm trying to open this up, there goes my nail polish again. These pressed powders, I'm not real thrilled with how pressed they are. They're too hard to get out of the pan, and you actually have to score the, you have to score it with something to get, you know, like your nails or something to get in there to get the powder. It's just pressed way too hard, so I think they kind of failed there. Now the foundations, the photo focus is excellent. I'm not that keen on these stick ones. Wet n Wild, this is the Photo Focus Stick Cream Foundation. It's okay, but it's not really good for somebody with a lot of texture on their skin or a lot of pores. So I would say this was a fail there, but they have a nice color range and it actually blends in pretty well. But this one is the winner, the Photo Focus Foundation. The big thing here is getting the proper shade. Now, as far as concealers go, I did like this for blemish covering. I thought that worked really well for blemishes. But as far as being under the eye, it made a lace pattern, and on older skin, if you have wrinkles underneath your eye, this will not help you. This will accentuate them. It's a little too thick to work well that way. So this concealer is the Photo Focus Fair Beige. And then the next shade up from this is light beige, and light beige is about 3 shades darker than this. So you'd actually have to mix a combination of this with the light beige shade in order to get something in between there, and it seems like an awful lot of fuss to go to get a shade that matches. Because the light shade, if you go too light under your eyes, you can look raccoonish, and also it can accentuate any of the under eye lace patterns or wrinkles that you have. So I'm just not really a fan of. Now, as far as primers go, I love the Rose primer. Not everybody's going to love that scent, but I do. And the Take On the Day eye primer, and once you try it, it's going to be hard for you to go back. I'd forgotten how much I love this, and I think it's a fabulous thing. As far as the lip scrub goes, it's very impressive how it works. It does exfoliate your lips nicely. It tastes like apple candy, like, I don't know, Jolly Ranchers. And when you wipe it off with a little water, rinse it off with a little water and wipe it and pat it dry with a Kleenex, you get a little bit of a balm kind of residue from it, and I like that. And the cutest thing, the little apple. And they do have a red apple as well with this PAC Man series. That is the actual lip balm, but I don't think you need it because this leaves a residue. So I think all in all, this is just a successful line for being affordable. It's very doable. I mean, it's, you know, regardless of the fact that I'm 61, I can still manage to wear all of these things, including the kind of wild colors in the palette. Really fun. So don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. Don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone and try these things. They're not very expensive. You can get a lot of these things in the Dollar Tree. This is great. This duo-sided pencil sharpener. You can do large pencils and small pencils with it. It's got really sharp edges there. It's only $1. The brushes, I would say, I don't really like these white-handled brushes. These don't do anything for me. The pink one I do like a lot, the pink crystal cut, and I do love the PAC Man brushes. I think these are just marvelous. If you see them in the store, you should get them because they're fun to play with, and they're also really soft, and they apply the products really well. So out of the brushes, I would say my favorite are the 2 PAC Man brushes, and then these, I would say, they're cheap. They're just cheap, and they don't work very well. So I hope everybody's having a wonderful week and have a beautiful day. Take care. Toodles.